Do you think Slot will have much of a say on transfers? No, I don't. And this was actually put out today from the Times. There was an article came out in the Times Sport that said Arne Slot will only act as a head coach at Liverpool, not as a manager. Slot will take custody of first team training while reporting to sporting director Richard Hughes, and both will report to Michael Edwards. So just coaching. So over time, if he's a success, and I guess he builds up trust with Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, then maybe you'll see that scope widened. But I think it's the right idea for the start. Bring him in, let him concentrate and coaching the team, and over time, as he builds that relationship with Edwards and Hughes, then maybe we see him have a bit more of a say. Do you think we'll get the money for a revamp? My honest answer, no. I don't. I don't know. I think our owners are cheap. That's, I've made a lot of allowances for FSG in recent months. I've given them credit for bringing back in Edwards, and I like the appointment of Richard Hughes, but they're cheap. John W. Henry is cheap. So I feel like this is why I think even more so we're likely to sell Salah, because that will be a big lump of money for the new manager to play with. All of these things, when I talk about players likely moving on, come into my thinking. It's not just, I don't like Salah anymore, let's get rid of Salah. It's known that John's cheap. Like, most other clubs, if Salah was at, let's say, Manchester United, I probably think he gets another 2-year contract. And I probably think he carries on. But our owners are cheap. Thoughts on Slot's tactics? I'm still getting to grips with it in some ways. I spent a lot of time convincing myself on the Ruben Amorim stuff, a lot of time researching him, how he plays, how he transitions, and now with Arne Slot really only coming in over the last 72 hours as the front runner, I am somewhat playing catch up. But I do have some notes here, which I'm happy to go through for you if you'd like, on Arne Slot. So these are the bits and pieces that I know, and this isn't going to give you much of a tactical breakdown, more so how he's gotten to this point with his career. So yeah, let's look at this. So we know he's 45 years of age. His career himself, he played as a midfielder. He had, three or four clubs in the Eredivisie when he played. He scored quite a few goals, actually. And between 1995 and 2002, he made 164 appearances for FC Zwolle, scoring 50 goals. NAC Breda, he made 142 appearances, scoring 21 goals. Then he went to Sparta Rotterdam, 54 appearances, 6 goals. Went on loan back to FC Zwolle, 28 appearances, 7 goals. Then made a full transition to PSV Zwolle, 74 appearances, 16 goals. But then his managerial career started, and this is where I guess the research really started. The rest of the stuff you grab off Wikipedia, but the rest of it kind of started from here. So after retiring from playing in 2013, Slot moved onto the club's staff, working first as a youth coach for a year before being appointed as an assistant coach to Hank de Jong at Cambuur. De Jong left the club in 2016, and Slot stayed on as assistant coach to Marcel Kaiser and Rob Maas. Then in October 2016, Slot became the interim coach along with Spike Hulshoff, who's now his assistant manager at Feyenoord, I should say. Slot and Hulshoff helped Cambuur climb to 14th, and from 14th to 3rd place in the league, missing out on promotion to the Eredivisie after losing a playoff. He then moved and joined AZ Alkmaar in 2017 when he left Cambuur, joined as an assistant first to John Van den Brom. While there, he guided AZ Alkmaar to 3rd and 4th place finishes in 2019 and 2018, as well as reaching the final of the Dutch Cup. In December 2018, Slot succeeded Van den Brom as the head coach. In his first season, they reached the quarter-final of the Europa League and finished 2nd in the league to Ajax in goal difference after the season was ended because of the pandemic and no league title was awarded. In a bit of a shock, he was then fired from AZ Alkmaar in 2020 into December after it emerged he was negotiating to become Feyenoord coach. Then, shortly after that, he was appointed by Feyenoord, and it was announced that he would be coming on board as the new coach for the start of the 21-22 season. In his first season, Feyenoord reached the Europa Conference League final, losing to Roma. He had a clause in his deal meaning that he could be extended to 2024, which they did extend. He went on and finished third place in the Eredivisie, and Arne Slot was named the league's manager of the year. After such a strong season, the club moved the time down to an even longer deal and gave him another contract to 2025 with no release clause. During the 2022-23 season, Feyenoord progressed to the quarterfinals of the Europa League, beating Shakhtar 7-1 in the round of 16 game. The disappointment of being knocked out of Europe was soon forgotten though, as Feyenoord went on to win their league title, the first one since 2017 and their 16th in history, and Slot was named manager of the year for a second successive year in the Eredivisie. And in 2023-24, he won the cup this season with Feyenoord and looks like he's going to finish second behind PSV Eindhoven in the Eredivisie. Craig, be honest, you only like Arne Slot because he looks like you. Well, it doesn't hurt. No, I like him because of how enthusiastic he is. I like him because he plays an attacking brand of football. And I like him because I'm intrigued as well. But I don't know if it'll work or not. But somebody has to get the job, and Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes have enough data to have pinpointed the candidate they believe is the best fit, and they went with Arne Slot. So I'm going to get behind the new gaffer. What's your expectation for Slot next season? Getting out of the Champions League group, qualification for the Champions League again the following season, and I think that's realistic. I think that's fair as well. Yeah, I'm certainly not expecting him to come in his first year and us to go and win the league, but if we get in the position where it's possible, then I want us to go and do it, of course. But get out of the Champions League group and make sure we're back in it for next season, because we need that money to keep flowing in as well, because we need to make sure. Like, what I'm really interested to see is, let's say Salah moves on, right? We're losing Thiago and we're losing Joel Matip. That is a lot of money that is freed up off the wage books. Now, I'm no accountant, far from it, but players' wages and transfer fees are split across the length of their contract. So each year's amortization of money is going to give us a lot to play around with. So I think the new manager will have wiggle room, even by just the wages of these guys being moved on. Like Thiago Alcantara is on about 10 million quid a year. Mohamed Salah is on something just shy, about 18 million pound a year, maybe even higher than that. Joel Matip, I think, is on about 100 grand a week, about 5 million quid a year. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to be freed up, and that's before you talk a transfer fee for Mo or anything. Slot has already analysed Liverpool. I'm sure he has. I mean, absolutely. I'm sure once he got an inkling that he could be in this conversation, absolutely. Do you know what's really impressed me about Arne Slot? Is how much he wants the job. I think even Kloppo was impressed by that. You know, he seems to be genuinely buzzing about the idea. And I also loved what Jurgen said about best team in the world, best fans in the world, best club in the world. And I think Slot will embrace that.